So, welcome back to the Bored and Caffeinated podcast. If you guys are listening to this, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for just listening. These are kind of just off the cuff talks, different theories or really just ideas that come to my head whenever I'm sipping on some coffee in the morning, whatever, and I write it down. And I'm like, man, I feel like I just really want to talk about this. So, really, the one thing that I really want to talk about today is just the day trading journey alone and what that really looks like. So I know for me, whenever I very first got into trading, it was insanely exciting. There was so much learning going on that I was just excited to kind of like absorb all of the information that I could just so that I could make trades and make money. And so, the first time I ever really hopped into a trade was like the time that that's what built all the conviction that I needed in order to like continue on this journey. And so let me tell you about that time. I started in the stock market. I was trading a penny stock at the time. And I didn't have very much money in the account, $250, $300 in the account, just because I didn't want to throw in a bunch of money and lose all that money. So I was like essentially trading with money that I could afford to lose. And not that I wanted to lose $200 at that time, just because I was also running a digital content business. And that time kind of sucked because that was also during COVID and not a lot of people were hiring out, for like marketing contracts or that kind of thing. So trading was a way for me to generate money without necessarily needing other people. I know it sounds crazy of like, yeah, I wanna make money where there's a lot of risk involved because I can't depend on people to pay the bills. So think about that for a second. I know that's like I know that's really backwards sounding, but that was essentially the thought process. So anyways, I was trading a penny stock at the time. I don't remember what company it was. But I remember, I studied, from all the YouTube videos that I studied, the PDFs that I was, looking through to figure out which strategy I needed to be using, how to use the indicators. And at that time I was using, like a 200 EMA, a 50 EMA, and then tied with, the momentum indicators of like the MACD and the RSI, so I was using those four different indicators, confluences, confidence, and taking trades. We kind of all know what that stuff is. Um, but, I did my analysis and then the buying time happened. And so this was now was my time to basically pull the trigger and take my very first trade. And so that's what I did. I was like, everything lines up. Like, I'm just gonna do this, see what happens. And then like my eyes just stayed glued to the glue screen. And if you're watching me, live right now or like on the video, you can see how wide my eyes are. And so that was like how I was, just sitting there staring at the screen. And, I remember whenever it very first ticked into the green profits, it was like 50 cents, a dollar, 2.25, $5. And at that point, I remember jumping up out of my chair, doing the fist pumps, like, let's go. Like I'm up $5. Like that was such an exciting time because it's like you could actually see your efforts being rewarded from all of like the studying that you were doing, and like it was just insanely cool. But kind of as that journey continued, I just kind of found myself like lost and confused and learning new things, stock options, learning about the PDT rule. So switching your account from a margin account to a cash account. So you could, quote unquote, make day trades if you had less than 25K in the account. And it got just like super overwhelming just because it just seemed like the learning was never going to end. And it's like the fact that I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna learn exactly what these candlesticks are telling me to line up with like higher time frames because I was on the lower time frame, but then matching the lower time frame to like a high time frame, MACD momentum push, or squeeze seemed almost impossible. And so then that's whenever I kind of thought that like maybe I should just join some groups, get around other people that are trying to do what I'm doing And, that definitely helped out a lot, but it also got very lonely because a lot of those groups, the friends that you tried to bring into trading, maybe some family members you tried to bring into trading, a lot of those people just kind of dip off. And that's because they lacked the vision. Not so much they were tired of losing money, but they kind of lacked the vision of, what you were having of like, hey, if I really just buckle down, invest in this skill set, I could essentially make myself some generational wealth. And of course, like generational wealth is always the goal, but it doesn't always have to be the immediate goal. The like your action in the present could definitely be different. And so like for me, it's always about like how can I simplify the trading so that I don't necessarily have to be running, a digital content business or get a remote job or hell, even go get just a regular job just because I'm so focused on this skill set. So it's like, what can I be doing for myself in this current moment to, to, just get myself to essentially like in profitability, making $100, 150 a day, that kind of stuff. And so that was my mindset back in 2020, 2021, was just like, I see so much value. I have so much conviction after that very first $5 I made that like, this is truly what I want to do. This is like something that, I had always thought was cool. Always had conversations in high school with people that were older than me that are, hey, you guys are probably listening to the podcast and you know who you are, and I definitely appreciate you. Um, but having conversations with those people about the stock market and, if you just invest your money, like your money can make returns and you're not necessarily having to like kind of like trade your time for money in a sense of like hourly wages. Um, and not that there's anything wrong with like working a 9 to 5. There are a lot of times that, I wish that was kind of in my DNA of like working a 9 to 5. But I think, you know, coming back to like running a business or like having to go work for somebody else, doesn't necessarily like fit the lifestyle that I'm trying to live. And I'm not trying to live like a crazy high lifestyle, traveling every single week, every couple days in a new supercar in a new city. Like, I'm not trying to do any of that. Like, hey, I'm a family man. Like, I have my wife, I have my little girl, those two people are my wives, and I want to be able to spend as much time with them as I can without, having to pick up the phone and being like, "Hey, boss, like, you mind if I take the day off? I kind of want to spend time with family." And then they're just like, "Spend time with family? You got 2 days a week to do that. That is Saturday and Sunday, Sonny. Like, that's your time there. I'll let you have that." So to me, that's what I'm trying to achieve is not necessarily like wealth freedom, because obviously I want wealth freedom. Like, who doesn't? Um, but more so time freedom. And that's what this skill set truly offers. But just the journey itself is truly so long. It's so boring and it gets so confusing and it gets so lonely. And that's why I created just the brand of Bored and Caffeinated. It like took me a long time to really figure out, just Bored and Caffeinated as a whole. It's like, the reason why I came up with the name of Bored and Caffeinated is I was on a call with somebody and they're like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And I was like, "Hey man, I was born caffeinated today," And I know that sounds like a really like funny response or whatever. But that's what it was. And they were like, those two combinations together, like how different those are, but how the same they are is like really cool. And so from that moment, that's whenever I was like, I'm gonna build a brand around being bored and caffeinated, and I'm going to target it towards traders who are in the journey, in the middle of their journey, or maybe leading up to their breakthrough, so kind of shifting that boredom to breakthrough type of style to where like we can connect, because I know the times that I was able to really connect with other traders during, a lot of my journey were the times that really brought me up, in terms of like those getting to those super, super, high moments or, even though like we were all in the trenches going through, the same trials, the same tribulations, we always had each other and we always understood. Just because like I know there'd be times I'd be, like, just mad at the market because I just got railed by the market makers, and, like, it happens. It's not that, like, you take bad trades. There's just sometimes there's an alter motive for moving the market, and we don't know that stuff just because we are retail traders. And if you don't think you're a retail trader and you're, listening or watching on YouTube, whatever, you are a retail trader. We're not throwing around crazy hedge fund money. And it's okay. It's like there's like a weird conception about being a retail trader, not being, that's a story for a different day. That's not the point here. The point here is, just being around people that truly understand the process is what keeps people in the game for the long term. Because if you were just to, have a bad day in the market, you go and you're talking with buddies, you're talking with spouses, whatever it is, they don't understand because it's not that they don't understand, they do, but they just don't understand the actual like nitty gritty, the nuts and bolts of being a day trader. And and a lot of those conversations lead to like, hey, maybe it's time to think about putting a stop loss on your career. And it's like, haha, I knew you listened. She knows what a stop loss is. He knows what a stop loss is, but in this time they're using it in the wrong context because now you're making me just feel like, oh, I'm just such a shitty trader that I don't need to be doing it. Given that's not the circumstance. Well, a lot of those conversations lead to kind of like hamster wheel type, blowing accounts. You get so much confidence, you know what you're doing. You're about to have that breakthrough. You're about to achieve that monthly goal. And then it all just seems to, crumble. And it's like, why? And a lot of it has to deal with just fear in general. A lot of the things that you do accomplish in this career, maybe 9 times out of 10 isn't by luck, but it's actually by skill set. And I know a lot of the times that I have found a lot more success is whenever I just shut my mouth and stop talking to other people about it. Because now I don't have, their negative talk or the talks, that they want to say that get all clogged in my head of distractions, I guess is what you could say, is like you don't have any of that. So it's like now a lot of people really don't know where I stand. I don't necessarily like to show my monthly P&Ls. Like, sure, I'll show my dailies, but my monthly P&Ls will forever, remain anonymous. Like, they will never be, casted out there. Why? Because I don't necessarily need somebody's energy, that isn't correlating with my ultimate goal. I don't need that. Even in the groups with people, sure, everybody in the group may seem uplifting, but there's, always one or two bad, squirrels in the bunch that, um, wish they maybe had what you had, or just different things along those lines. But that's not to say that you don't need to be connecting with people, because you will always find the people that need to find each other. And that's the entire goal with Bored and Caffeinated, is just helping each other through the journey and helping each other really build a life worth living, and not necessarily having to live the life you have to live. Right. And meaning that, that goes back to living the 9 to 5. And, my big question for people is like, would $250 a day get you on a right track to, achieving, more, down the road? And it's always like, yeah, of course. I'm like, yeah, like that would definitely help out. Like, $500 a month, $600 a month would change everything for me. And it's like, dude, we can do that in like 2 or 3 days. And just going off of that, it's like a lot of people try to just hit the home runs, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the high life that is shown on social media of like, oh, if I become a day trader, I can drive, the supercars in like 6 months, a year, or whatever, whatever it is. But it's not about that. It really isn't. It's about building a sustainable trading strategy that is repeatable, that you can do on a day-to-day basis, without having to like be in that hamster wheel of always like reinventing, yourself or reinventing your entire trading strategy. That's why whenever I try to build circles of people, I make sure that we all have a, similar trading strategy, because that lets me know then, oh, we're all seeing the market the same way, and it's never like split like, 75%, 75% of the people see longs, 25% of people, see the shorts, and then all of a sudden that 25% of the people were right. It's like, no, we're going in the trenches together. I'm not saying that we're taking like the same exact entries, but like we're going in the trenches together. Like this is a together type mentality. Um, just because with like collective, thinking comes with collective growth. And that's whenever people really start to enjoy this. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like if you're in that point of your trading journey where you just feel so bored, so alone, and like you never see a breakthrough on the horizon, this is your wake up call that you need to turn that boredom into breakthroughs, and you need to basically join the board and caffeinated coffee shop, kind of school community that I have going, so that you can, connect and learn and earn at the same time and elevate together with other board traders. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this to be the guru, furu, whoever mentor type guy. That's not why I'm doing this stuff, guys. Like I have like so much to say after just like my 4 years of being in the trenches and then finally seeing some sort of consistency or breakthrough to a level of profitability. It's like I just want to be able to connect with other people. Like that's all this is for me. And of course, there are certain things that I can do to help you elevate to a point that I wish I knew whenever I was like a beginner, or where I was, an intermediate type person, because, in between those stages, I was the guy that was like, the market has a camera on my computer. They're watching exactly what I'm doing. And they're like, oh, Adam just bought. Okay, let's sell everything. Or whenever I would try to short the market, they'd be like, oh, Adam just shorted. Let's buy everything up. I was that guy. And it really just took, I'm not saying like reinventing everything because I said not to, but um, it really just took me locking in and figuring out truly, what are my true goals? What are my true intentions coming into the market every day? What am I truly trying to do? Um, Whenever it came to just investing into the markets, day trading within these markets. Um, and once I really found out that piece, that's whenever things really started to work for me. And so I just want to connect with you guys, like, and just going back to the journey, like the shit can suck. And I understand that. And it's okay to feel that way, because if you didn't feel that way, and you were continuing to go, then your time in these markets will be short. But if you do understand that your journey right now, if it's super shitty and you're not having any fun at all, that you do have a future in this. Like this is exactly where you're supposed to be. And God gave you that vision for a reason. And don't let anybody deteriorate or deteriorate that vision. Um, and just keep continuing to chip away at it. It's like that famous meme where you, on the top side, you have one dude who's mining the gold, mining for gold, knocking the wall down, knocking the wall down, and then all of a sudden he stops because he's tired. Your breakthrough is on that very next knock. So if you guys love these types of episodes, thank you so much for listening in. I love just being able to just be like super vulnerable, just kind of off the cuff with everything. I hate kind of like pre-planned productions. So I like to, film these whenever I'm feeling insanely motivated, because I feel like I have a good message. I have a true intention behind my message. And I just want you to know that there is a group, there is a community out there, there is a coffee shop, AKA Bored and Caffeinated, that is ready to connect with you. So if you guys haven't, please hit that subscribe button, share this with somebody who needs to hear this message, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.